Just put late.
I just want to make sure the certification includes you.
Okay, we are live.
I think we lost one person, but we're back.
Stage maybe.
Okay.
You get the certification.
Yeah, so we're reconvened in the open session now, and we're back on the live stream. So Gilbreth, I will, if you do the roll call of those present, I'll do the certification.
Did you say Reverend Nelson was here?
He did not return.
Oh, okay. Mr. Adkins?
Aye.
Chair Winslow?
Aye.
Dr. Newbill?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
And you said Ms. Page didn't return this morning.
She must have left during the closed session.
Yeah.
Mr. Byerly?
Aye.
And Dr. McGraw?
Aye. Great.
Certification. That's just a roll call. Make sure we got everybody written down, Mark.
Okay, here's the certification. If you would please, when we call your names again of those present, certify that the closed session was convened and that only the matters discussed for the purposes of this closed session that were for personnel matters concerning specific employees were discussed and adhered to it within the closed session. Do you so certify? Gilbreth, if you'll call everybody's name.
Mr. Adkins?
Aye.
Chair Winslow?
Aye.
Dr. Newbill?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Byerly?
Aye.
And Dr. McGraw?
Aye. Great. And I appreciate that certification. At this time, I'm going to appoint a subcommittee on executive compensation and benefits. That subcommittee will consist of Dr. Newbill. Thank you, Dr. Newbill. Ms. Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, Dr. McGraw, and myself. And we will take up that topic at a scheduled meeting at some point. We'll figure out when we're going to meet, and that will be in a relatively quick fashion. So we'll get that out. And I think that brings us, if I'm not mistaken, to our next topic, which is the Cvta Support MOU.
Correct. Martha and I are working on a new MOU between PlanRVA and the Cvta. It will be modeled upon the old MOU, but one of the chief components will be how to deal with the new executive director that the Cvta will be onboarding, and the roles and responsibilities of that position as the Cvta matures as an organization. It's in draft form now. The existing MOU automatically renews, so we're not in a crunch where the MOU is going to expire on July 1st. So that the existing MOU will continue as we continue to refine that new agreement. So we're okay there. It is expected that the new executive director will be answerable and report directly to the Cvta board, but the executive director will be a PlanRVA employee for purposes of compliance with the personnel policies and procedures and administration of salary and benefits. Okay, and so and that's necessary so that the person can be subject to and receive the benefits of the agency's insurance and other benefits. So that's the way we've conceptualized how it's going to work. We're putting meat on those bones with the MOU right now, and hopefully we'll have a draft probably in the August-September timeframe if we want to be realistic.
So from just a question.
Yes, sir.
From an accountability standpoint, the Cvta executive director will be accountable to the Cvta. Will it be accountable to PlanRVA at all?
Well, I don't know if Martha wants to speak to that, but the person will be accountable in terms of having to adhere to the personnel policies and procedures of PlanRVA.
And if they don't do that,
then what I've been thinking is that the PlanRVA executive director could then potentially report that to the CVTA board.
Or would have a duty to do so.
Would have a duty to do so. So it's gonna be a delicate
Just-
relationship.
I'm asking because we have some situations from time to time that
Oh, yeah.
arise. I don't want any situations to arise. I'm just asking for
Yeah.
friends.
Right, so that's conceptually how we're framing that. But you're right, it's delicate. But the CVTA board will have the ability to hire, fire, set compensation and benefits, and set the work plan for this person. So and they'll be responsible to the board for achieving that. So Martha, do you want to share some?
I think it's an imperfect word, and Mr. Gregory and I have talked about this a couple of times, but I mean, I think in essence, again, not the correct word, but we're in essence delegating the enforcement of these policies to the CVTA by virtue of this MOU. And so I'll use an easy example. We would, as an employee and a senior member of our staff, be planning to issue an agency credit card to the executive director of the CVTA. We have a document that requires that the executive, or that any person who is issued a credit card, adheres to our credit card use policy, and that they would be held responsible should they make any purchases on that credit card that are not approvable, appropriate, what have you. I think in the case of this executive director, any issue with compliance with that policy would be immediately reported, presumably probably through the executive committee and our board structure to the CVTA leadership. I don't think we need to do it in an open session, but I mean, we would have that communication go through so that CVTA would be responsible for assuring that remedy to the situation occurs, and I think that that's like, even that is in some regards an extreme case. I mean, if it was just an erroneous Uber charge, then we could just resolve it and it would be fine. But if it was needed to be escalated, I imagine that's how I'm imagining the documentation that Mr. Gregory is putting through would be channeled.
So this MOU will come in front of the full body?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the earliest it would come would be July.
July.
It just really kind of depends on the local kind of.
So we will get a draft to be able to review and comment and
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
We'll
take a look at that,
circulate.
because it's just important to know chain of command. I just,
Absolutely.
on these things, you don't want to leave anything in the gray area to the extent possible in my very small experience on these things.
I would say too, I mean, for this committee and our finance committee's benefit, other things that we've been talking through are assignment of computer equipment assets and things like that. The intention is for PlanRVA to be the asset owner of all of the things so that CVTA doesn't have to get into that business. So, there would be things like that that we're working through, which is why it's taking this process. Not only are we waiting for the actual recruitment process to come to its natural stages, but we also want to work through thoughtfully, the bookkeeping, accounting, we kind of want to be able to, at least for the time being, create a situation where CVTA doesn't have to be in the asset management.
That's
business
right. These are
and
the
things like that.
efficiencies we
That's
envision.
correct.
Putting-
right. I mean,
And so
this
it
is the
takes
reason
longer to
we're-
do it.
That's right. That's why these are the reasons that
Right.
we're in this relationship, and so we want to be thoughtful about that and make sure that, as has been talked about many times, then the compensation back to PlanRVA is inclusive of the whole set of services and offerings that we're providing.
That's right. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? All right. Is there anything else to come before this body?
I do just want
Yeah.
to share with the members of the executive committee, we are, I think, sad and also excited, sad for us, excited for Jen Lee. Those of you who know, he will be celebrating his 34th anniversary this June 20th. He has let us know that he intends to retire, and so he will be retiring with his 34 years of service at the end of June.
Wow.
He has, done a tremendous amount of just work and service to the region. I think folks affectionately call him Eagle Eye Jin. He's been the source of finding money in the state's project allocation and reconciliation process, where there was money that sort of sits in accounts that actually could be reallocated and has been a real, I think, just tremendous resource internally, but also to our 9 localities and to the State Department of Transportation. I know that there have been instances where they've said, well, if Jen says that that's the number, that's the number. And that's just a tremendous, contribution that he's made. He is a PhD, has his degrees in planning, and has served the majority of his career here in the Richmond region. So he's not our longest serving employee ever, but certainly among the ranks. I think Dan Lisi has that title, but he was very explicit with Chet and I. He does not want to have a lot of fanfare. In fact, it was a little bit of an effort to get him to agree to let other people know that he planned to retire this early. So
Wow. When is his last day?
June 30th.
June 30th.
Yeah. So I did want to share with you all
Are you
that
taking him to lunch?
we have some plans in the works. We've worked hard to try to be respectful of what he has been explicit with us that he wants. So we are going to do a staff lunch next week, and we have a couple of other things in the works that I don't want to let out of the bag yet, but I'll certainly keep you in the loop about what we're going to do, and we'll share the results of that afterwards. But I did want to let you all know because he's just a real gem, and it just speaks to who he is as a person, that he doesn't want it to be about him, but it should be. And so we're going to make him feel a little bit uncomfortable, but not too much.
Well, and maybe there's I'm sitting here thinking, for folks like this who have been dedicated this long, maybe there's a hall of fame for this organization that we.
I think we are thinking on the same.
Okay,
Same way.
I'm not taking your idea. I just threw it out
No,
there.
I
We
think
need to do something like that.
We'll take that and run with it.
Any other comments, questions? All right, we're adjourned and appreciate y'all.